Hi everyone, and welcome to Journaling Through the Comparison Trap. My name is Christine Bergsma, and I will be your host of this free webinar. Now, I have created a series of guided journals for all of life-altering events, as well as journaling through nature and alignment journals. So if you're feeling stuck, you really want to get into journaling, but you don't know how, that one is a great one to have. I will put all of the links where you can get your journal in the description below. You can also reach us through our website, and do friend us on our social media channels and tell us what you're up to, and if you would like to see more of these free webinars. Now let's get started. So journaling through the comparison trap. The difference between mental health and mental illness is very important. Everybody has mental health. If you have physical health, you have mental health. A good, strong mental health is the ability to regulate your emotions, to overcome obstacles, not without struggle necessarily, and to be resilient, to bounce back after a traumatic event. If you have a low mental health, it is quite the opposite. You'll have physical symptoms of that as well. So maybe increased fatigue, insomnia, habits of not eating well, not feeling like you can handle it, burnout. All of those are signs of a low mental health. And the wonderful part is that we all have the ability to increase our mental health. Mental illness, on the other hand, has to be diagnosed by a professional, so either a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And there are, a lot of things out there that sometimes blur the lines. Say, for example, if you feel anxious, especially after this pandemic, say you feel really anxious, it's not necessarily that you're going to have anxiety disorder. Anxiety might just mean that you have low mental health in that aspect. So what are some of the tools that you could use to be more healthy in that respect? If you're unable to deal with it by yourself, though, I do suggest going to see a professional so that they can describe a treatment plan for you. It could be counseling. It could also be medication. So as long as we're okay, our journals then is for mental health. It does not diagnose. It does not treat, but it increases and empower you to have a strong and resilient mental health. And the journals are designed with psychological principles. But again, I'm not a psychologist. So if you feel like you can't handle it, please go see a professional and take your journal with you. The next thing we're going to chat about is active versus passive self-care. Active self-care is doing something that will increase your mindset, your growth mindset. It will actually activate your energy. It will untie a mental knot that you had. It will provide you with that healthy mental health response. Passive self-care, and I know we always dunk on social media, but here we are. It could be, take a long bath. You have to take care of your health and your hygiene. So bathing is sort of, something that you need to do anyway. So that could be a passive self-care. It's still important, but is it going to change your circumstances? Is it going to change your mindset? Is it going to give you that aha moment? Or even just move you forward to what is the next best step for me to do? So that is what journaling does as well. It is actually an active self-care. And that is what it does. It actively gives you that strength, that stamina, and then you're filling up your cup. Like they say, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? But if you're just passively having this cup and not filling it up with actual active things that's going to help, your cup will always be empty. All right, so let's move on to a journaling prompt. So in your journal or your notebook, on the top of the page, write thank you and your name. What are we thankful for? Active self-care. Another journaling prompt, getting back to that comparison trap. In 2 or 3 sentences, write down how another person's luck resulted in a lack of success for you. I'll read that again, and at any time pause the video if you need more time. In 2 or 3 sentences, write down how another person's luck resulted in a lack of success to you. When you read the sentence back to yourself, where is your energy? Where is your mind? Where are your thoughts? Is it with you? Or is it with the other person that you described? And this is a very important thing to know. Who has our energy? Bringing it back to that self-care. Self-care is taking care of us. So if we're constantly comparing ourselves to others, take a moment and say, where's my energy? Is it with me? Or is it with this other person I'm comparing myself to? And the more and more we practice doing this, the easier it will become to just realize it right away and say, wait, I'm doing it again. My energy is with this other person that I'm feeding into their energy because I'm comparing myself to them. And it does create a trap. And traps, they're usually not easy to get out of. So I'm going to give us, in a little bit, a really, really great grounding tool that you can use at any time when you feel like your mind is overthinking, it's moving into that comparison trap. Because what it does is it keeps us stuck, right? When we compare ourselves to others, we are stuck, but we are creating this for ourselves. The other person probably does not compare themselves to you, or they do, or they don't. It doesn't matter because their energy is their responsibility. Your energy is your responsibility. So once you find your mind moving towards those thoughts, you browse their IG pages and see that they have this fabulous life. I know it's been said so many times before, we don't post the horrible stuff unless, we are seeking support on Instagram or whatever social platform you find yourself in, or even if you go back to the office or you have a virtual meeting, right? Oh, this person's house is better than mine. This is better. It creates that scarcity mindset, right? And if we live from a scarcity mindset, then we can never be abundantly ourselves. Another important thing to just remember is that we only have a limited capacity of energy within ourselves. So the moment that we have all these comparison traps, it takes up space. So we're sort of being our own worst enemy when it comes to this. If we would like more abundance, if we would like more time, if we would like more things or more thoughts or more experiences, if we fill it up with comparisons of other people, we have no capacity for the new to come in. So it's extremely important for us to recognize that these thoughts and these emotions that we have regarding comparison to other people are taking up space in ourselves. So the moment that we acknowledge that and we release that, we are no longer trapped. We're no longer trapped in this comparison loop, because it is also how we train our brain to think. The moment you see something that somebody else has or does and you really wanted it, it creates that loop and that cycle. Right? And then it doesn't allow anything new for us to come in. In your journal, write down one way in which you're paying mental rent to live in somebody else's possessions, relationships, status, etc., without any value to yourself. Moreover, this is exactly what we were saying. You are moving your energy to them, and you do not have the open space to fill your own life with beautiful things, your own life with relationships. And this is a great prompt if you really want to go into detail. Say, I saw this, this is what I want, this is how this makes me feel, this is how it is a comparison trap for me. Again, journaling is such an active and practical way to really get down to the nitty-gritty details. Because it's always nice just to say, in general, this is how it works. But it's really impactful if you say, this is how it affects me personally. So writing it down, write exactly down which possession, which relationship, which status, who is this person that every time I see her or him or, them, why does this make me feel that way? What exactly about their situation do I lack in my own, right? Really do a deep delve into that. And say, then bringing it back to our original prompt, how does that, whatever they have or whatever they do or whatever the comparison part of that is, how does that actually result in my life being better? How does it result in my luck? Then bring those two together. And I'm sure it will be very insightful. So here is the tip. Here is the awesome tip that I was going to give you as a leave behind, which is really awesome. So this is what I have done. And it works really fabulously, because another thing that happens is when we start being comparative, it also goes to that jealousy, which is part of the shadow side, and all of us have it. We're not saying that we are, these wonderful beings that never have these type of emotions, of course. And it's also where you are in your mental state, right? Again, bringing it back to that mental health. If you have very low mental health because perhaps you've been dealing with a lot of stuff and, life has just thrown a lot at you, you're not going to have that energy and that capacity to deal with these things in a way that if you had a really healthy mental health, you could look at something, compare and say, okay, whatever. But if you're already in that mindset of lack or overwhelm, it's much harder to remove yourself and shift your mind to that abundance mindset. So this is practically what I do. Every time I find myself comparing and overthinking, because they sort of go hand in hand, we think, why does this person have this? And why do I not have it? And we're asking why all the time for all these things. Then I connect with my immediate environment. So I'd like for you to just take a moment and look around you. Connect to a pencil. This is my pencil. Okay, I have a pencil. I have a computer that I can chat to you with today, with you guys. I have a water bottle. I have myself. I have my feet planted right here on this floor, on this earth. And what this does, it's a very simple technique, but it works so well. Because then you're connecting yourself to your immediate abundance and towards your immediate, what do I have? You bring the energy back to yourself. You're no longer paying rent in somebody else's possessions or status or relationship or anything like that. You are bringing yourself back. You're getting that energy back to yourself. And it might seem strange at first to say, okay, I'm going to look at all these things that surround me. but I promise you it works. The more you do it, because what it does too is it takes your mind from that overthinking, and it just immediately switches it to something very tangible in the 3D world. Because our mind and our overthinking, it's thoughts, it's that other dimension, it's how we feel. And then we need to bring it back to our physical environment to ground ourselves, to just reconnect to what is real, what is here, what we can feel, what we can taste, what we can smell, what we can see, what we can touch. I would love it if you put in the comments if that has worked for you. And, even if you've expanded on it, we've had so many workshops where people have taken one concept and they've just expanded on it and made it bigger and better. So do share in the comments what has worked for you. And again, it is the same as that idea of when they say, you should go reconnect with nature. It's like, okay, I reconnect with nature, but sorry, that's an alarm. I reconnect with nature, but what do I do when I'm there? So do I take note of what lessons I can learn from nature? Am I seeing the amount of pollution that is there? Did I bring a reusable water bottle? Am I actively participating in my reconnection to nature? So it is the same principle. Am I actively reconnecting to my own energy, to myself, when my mind starts wandering and thinking that other people have it better than I do? And this is one of my favorite illustrations from our journal. And it says, "My soul is aching for me to come back to myself." And I feel like that is such an appropriate quote, that if we constantly live in other people's things and relationships and lives, we miss out on what makes our lives great and who we really are and what we can contribute to this world. I hope this was insightful for you. I hope that, you got a little tidbit out of this. I know we went through the prompts pretty fast, but do feel free to stop this video at any time. It'll be on YouTube, so you can watch it anytime you feel like that comparison, overthinking is coming back. Skip to the prompts that really resonated with you and really do reconnect with yourself. It takes practice. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle. Make sure that you allow space for yourself to grow as well. And the more we take these comparisons out, the more space we're going to have for ourselves and for us to really find out who we really are and what makes us wonderful and amazing. If you would like, you can check out our other journals. There's a ton of them available. You can just get them from Amazon or wherever you buy your books. And here are all of our social handles as well as our website. And we look forward to seeing you again. And keep journaling and keep growing.